Can you believe this? Someone told me because I was wearing this exact outfit once, and she said that I reminded her of Harry Potter or an Asian Harry Potter. I was like, huh? Is that alright? Pop, 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 pop. Testing, testing. I hope it works. I figured maybe it's like the red for Gryffindor or something. I don't know. Anyways, welcome back to 24 in 24. This is episode 1, if you don't include the introduction, because I'm going to be doing the 24 character strengths. And if you're unsure of what the character strengths are, go back to video 1, check it out, do your research, complete your own profile. Actually, that said, I do want to stress that a little bit. Before you go on this journey with me, it might be a good idea to do your own profile. I'd love to invite you to do so because your perspective and your understanding of yourself through those questions are better off being uninfluenced. Is that the right one? Yeah. Uninfluenced or untouched by anything that I might say in these videos. So you get your more authentic version of it. That said, it might be a good way to see how that fares after you see the entire series, which will be in 24 weeks minimum. So that's what, 4, 8, 12, 16, 6 months time anyway. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. The maths, the finger maths. Ugh. Anyways, we'll get started. Number 1, so sorry about this. My top signature strength is, for anyone who knows me, will be like, well, duh, spirituality, which is from the virtue of transcendence. Now, when I hear the word transcendence, I think, transcend. I can barely just about do normal human life, let alone transcend above that and do something beyond that. So it's a little bit alien to me that a lot of my signature strengths are from the virtue of transcendence. But when I read more into it, I realize, okay, it makes sense. So spirituality, I'm going to refer to the VIA website actually a fair bit on this one because I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to misquote and I don't want to mislead anybody on this, and I'd rather just take it from the horse's mouth, if you like. The VIA Institute of Character Strengths website. Now, transcendence are those strengths which connect you to a higher meaning or a higher purpose. It connects you to stuff outside of you, connects you to the universe, as many people might say. Sorry, I can hear my chair squeaking. As many people might say. The specific character strength of spirituality is perhaps this sense of meaning, purpose, life calling, beliefs about the universe. Scientists have described it as a connection or a search for a connection with the sacred. Now, this is quite important because a lot of clients that I've had who have the character strength of spirituality get quite shocked when it's higher up their profile, especially because they believe that they're not particularly religious. But it's important to remind clients, as I often do, that, you know what, spirituality doesn't actually have to be religious in this particular, for this framework. There's a reason why Seligman and Peterson went and studied different religions and tribes and cultures across 3,000 millennia across the world. So, you know, they wanted a nice little cross section of society for it to apply everywhere, and that's one of the reasons why I like the profile. So, the sacred might be that which is blessed, holy, revered, or particularly special. It can be secular or non-secular. It can be pursued as a search for a purpose in life or a close relationship with something greater. You might experience it in forgiveness offered by a child, or a humble moment between a leader and a subordinate, an awe-inspiring sunset. It's quite varied in that sense. And I think I want to just go back to that part which said that sacredness might be pursued as a search for a purpose in life. A lot of coaches may be able to relate to this, specifically if you're more generic in your coaching theme and topics. But the clients that come through my door, typically through my private practice, are those who are searching for a meaning in life or looking for a purpose in life. They feel lost or a sense of identity. And it's one of the reasons why Muted Healing is called Muted Healing, because it's a company that's about being able to sound down all of the noises that are taking you away from who you are and your core authentic self. It's about muting your ego as well if you have to. It's about muting other people's voices until you can really hear what your true calling is in life. And perhaps that's why it's so high up in my character strengths profile. Spirituality is universal. Although the specific content of spiritual beliefs varies, all cultures have a concept of an ultimate, transcendent, sacred force. For some of us, that might be God. For some of us, that might be ideas about the universe. It might be ideas about prophets and disciples and so on, people that you revere and look up to. But it is essentially something that connects us to something bigger. Now, that said, why is it my number one? Hmm. Okay. A lot of the questions don't actually ask you whether you pray or how much you pray and so on, but I come from a faith background and have been brought up, I would say, in a semi conservative faith background where it formed a large part of our lives. So that might be why it's shaped and wired all of my thinking to be gravitating towards that. But for me, spirituality, the term comes, yeah, it is definitely about a connection with the universe. I think for me personally, this is where it gets messy because it's just a train of thought now. You signed up for it, don't blame me. Um, it sounds a bit like me giving back to the universe rather than feeling like the universe owes me anything. I think maybe during my teenage years, as teenagers do, and in my 20s, I really felt like the world owed me something, the universe owed me something. Um, but now I'm in the stage of life, having gone through various things that where I feel like I should be giving back, and perhaps I've always had an element of that. So, in fact, again, I go back to the business development. When I started writing my business plans back in 2020 and my thoughts, I actually wrote down this quotation by Muhammad Ali, um, famous boxer, who said that service to others is the rent you pay for your room on earth. And that really resonated with me, that serving other people, serving the world is is the least we can do for all the blessings that we have on earth as well. So that's why it's at the core of all of my work and all of my service. Yes, of course, you're going to have people out there who say, well, why do you charge for your services then? Because we live in the 21st century, my friend, and we've got to eat. Simple as. We've got to eat. And in fact, that question I feel is a bit futile because the work that's gone into becoming a coach, for example, the work that's gone into the work, the money, etc., everything that you've invested in it, that's all been a spiritual journey as well. And in order to be able to give back to society, it's also important to have something to fill your own cup as well so that you can pour back into. But I digress because we're talking about spirituality here, which I still believe is pretty much ingrained in everything. So, how do I use spirituality to serve my mind, my body, and my soul, at least on a daily basis? Um, I express gratitude a lot, I think. I'll do the obvious one, soul. So I'll turn that way. While I pray regularly, I pray to God because I believe in God, and I believe that while I might be praying just through bodily actions, and I'm going to be totally honest here, my heart isn't always in it, or my soul isn't always in it, meaning I'm not so mindful all the time. Um, I believe that the discipline of carrying out those actions has connected me to a spiritual being because it's about showing up sometimes. So anyone who knows about like building habits, for example, will say, look, sometimes you've got to just do it at its core, carnal, bodily level, regardless of whether you feel it or not. And perhaps over the years, I've built up that habit of praying regularly that it's now become a second nature thing to me. And that's probably what keeps me connected to God in that whether or not my soul and heart are in it, my body's there, it will show up. And I suppose it's the same thing for the mind and the body as well. I show up to pray as regularly as I can. When I'm at the gym, I express gratitude a lot for the fact that my body can do certain things. Big shout out to my personal trainer from back in the day who actually got me to understand that we should be celebrating our body. Going to the gym and personal training and working out, etc., should not be a punishment for the Christmas goodies that we had over the last month or so. Rather, it should be a celebration that, okay, you had some time off, but look how amazing that your body is to still be able to do that one pull up. Look how amazing that your body is to be able to achieve recovery after you've pushed it to the max. Our bodies are amazing, smart things, and we should be grateful to it and to, for me personally, the person, the entity that gave me this body. So there's the spirituality element in that. And with mind as well, I'm always mindful, haha, pardon the pun. I'm always conscious, I should say, that whatever learning I go ahead and take, so I'm kind of dabbling in various different projects this year, whatever it is, does it serve me and my end goal of, spirituality or God, humanity, returning home, etc.? Does it serve me and my purpose in any of those ways? If it does, it can stay. If not, as we mentioned in the last video, if it doesn't flow, then let it go. So it's that alignment, I guess, that I could say that spirituality provides me with. The fact that I can find spirituality or look for it in almost every aspect of my daily life. Even me creating this video, you could say maybe service to others. I hope that is the case anyway. That's certainly the intention that I started it with, and I always pray that my intentions are kept clean and not for ego reasons or for the likes and for the comments. And you know, I'm going to be honest with it about it as well, that I do hope to make it grow, let it become something big, monetize even from it. And I don't think anyone should be shy or worried about those things, because in order to grow bigger and do more service, I'm going to need some of those resources as well, right? So, you know, let's remove the stigma from actually being authentic, where we say that we are and we don't always actually action it. How can we use spirituality at work or at home? As the videos go on, by the way, this is where it gets more trickier, because now I'm trying to think again about me as well as the challenge for the week ahead. How can I use it in work? Okay, let's take work for example. I think I've already been doing it for work recently, because I have been turning down work that doesn't actually serve me or humanity. So I will turn down work if their values don't align with me. And that's not to say that I'm in a privileged position. You know what? In hindsight, I am in a very, very privileged position to be able to turn down work. But it's not like I'm really, really flush and I've got loads of income coming in that I can turn it down. It's that I'm very secure and I'll get by. Hence why I can turn it down. But especially if it doesn't align with my personal, political, spiritual values, then I will say, no, sorry, no, thank you. I'd rather get my money elsewhere, get my work elsewhere, get my networking elsewhere. So, yeah, I suppose spirituality can help you with job crafting. Does it serve you and your end goal or your purpose? If it does, but you're struggling to find it, could you use it in a different way? So I used to be a teacher, and spirituality was a huge part of that, because me educating young people became really, really crucial to me. But what was crucial to me, and that's why I entered the profession. But the more years that I stayed in teaching, the burnout, the political changes, the difficulties with keeping up with mental health and workload and work-life balance, I realized that I'm now kind of getting stuck into a system, and it's less spiritual because I'm finding it more burdensome. And that's when I had to job craft, i.e., look for promotions, make a sideways move, change schools. And there's various different ways that you can job craft, even in your role as well. And that's probably a conversation for you to have with a coach, with your bespoke profile, so that they get to know you a bit more and make it more specific to you. It's a journey that you would take, essentially. In the same way with home, with personal relationships, let's say, I would perhaps would carry on using spirituality, because let's talk not about chosen family. Let's talk actually about the family that you don't get to choose, the family that you're born into. That, because you know, that comes with all sorts of challenges and all sorts of strengths as well. So I could use spirituality there to I could use spirituality there to honor my family, my blood relatives, by doing more activities with them and seeing that as a form of gratitude. Gratitude isn't always about saying thank you, but it's also about using what you've got before you lose it. My days, I'm full of all these lines. Use it before you lose it. Oh, creativity is. I wonder where creativity is on my strengths profile. Use it before you lose it is a great form of spirituality, I believe. So perhaps it is crucial that I do activities with the family that I have while I've got them, which is a great way of using my strength of spirituality, because that's my way of giving back to the universe, giving time to them. Actually, this is crucial. See, the more you talk and the more your train of thoughts goes. When I was a teacher, I used to feel very guilty that I don't give my family enough time. Because the work itself is just so draining. It takes away so many of your 24 hours. I'd feel so guilty. I'd be at family events with piles of marking. But now that I'm not a teacher, what I realize is that I haven't necessarily replaced those hours that I've gained back with anything. I've just filled them with business work, for example. And while I enjoy that, that because I enjoy it, I haven't noticed that I'm really stuck in the same pattern. So the time that I've claimed back from marking, perhaps I could work out how much time I used to spend on marking per week, and then block that time out to spend with the family, watching a film, cooking something, etc., etc. I think that is going to be my challenge for the week ahead and for the weeks ahead. I will do a review on that challenge. Well, first of all, I'm going to write it down in my journal. Then I'm going to do a review of that challenge next week in next week's video when I begin, and I'll talk to you about my second character strength. So that's me for spirituality. Thank you for listening to this chatty podcast style video. Um, all of the messy bits included. I would love to know what your top character strength is. Mine being number one, spirituality. Or where does spirituality fare for you? Let me know your thoughts. What number is it on your profile? Let me know how you would use spirituality. Let me know if this video has been useful. I'd just have a conversation. I'd love to see you guys have conversations with yourselves in the comments, because it's really crucial that that's how we learn and grow from each other. I'm curious to know how you guys would use it and what it means to you. So without further ado, I'm going to sign out before it gets too long, and I'll see you next week for number 2. Any guesses what that is? Because I can't remember. No, I can't remember. So if you have guesses, also let me know. Peace out. Okay, not quite because I'm back. As I was editing, as I was editing this video, I realized that I missed out something quite crucial, and it wasn't actually just as I was editing. I realized this when it was about 2 or 3 days into the challenge, and I was thinking, okay, marking time, replacing that with family time, and so on. And I figured to myself, I'm kind of being a bit too careful and a bit too on the safe side when I'm challenging myself. I didn't think of them as challenge as such because they're kind of things that come fairly easily to me. And I guess what I was doing was two things. Number one, trying to show you all that spirituality is ingrained in our lives, and it can be ingrained in our lives regardless of whether you are a religious person or not. And the second thing I think I was doing was protecting myself from judgment, because vulnerability alert. To be vulnerably honest, I think that with the current way that the world is moving, with the high rates of Islamophobia and just general in judgment, regardless of any kind of xenophobia and such, people just see religion as something that's quite backwards and something that's from the Stone Ages and not relevant for today's time. But I really disagree with that, and I think I need to be a bit more braver and more vulnerable in accepting that, and being open about it as well. And I was inspired by some of my ex-students who are openly Christian and openly Hindu and openly, Muslim and so on, and farewell to them. It's a very important part of their life. So I don't understand why in my line of work do I feel the need to, um, yeah, hush it. So anyway, I ramble on. You get the idea. So I think what I'm going to do is slightly adapt it. I'll keep the previous challenge, but also I want to reconnect with God. Simple as that. And one of the ways in which I'll do that is by making use of something that I used to do in lockdown, which was to write letters to God. I know some of you guys will do extensive journaling or free writing of journaling. It's very, very similar, but those letters kind of were in a different format. They were written differently because it's a different, it's a different entity that you are writing towards. So I would like to be able to bring that back at least for once a week, in a bid to use my character strength of spirituality in a different way so that it can serve my soul a little bit better. Okay, that's it. I'm actually going to sign out for real this time, and I will see you on the next episode where I will have a couple of special guests. I'm excited. Bye.